Loneliness rarely begins with physical solitude alone. Its deeper roots often develop from emotional disconnection, feeling misunderstood, rejection, unresolved grief, insecurity, broken trust, or the gradual loss of meaningful relationships. A person can be surrounded by people and still experience profound loneliness when they feel unable to reveal their genuine thoughts and emotions. This is why loneliness is not simply about how many people exist around you. It is about whether you feel emotionally connected to them. When someone repeatedly experiences criticism, betrayal, exclusion, or emotional neglect, they may begin protecting themselves by becoming less vulnerable. They stop sharing what truly hurts, stop asking for support, and learn to handle everything privately. At first, this independence can feel empowering. Eventually, however, it can create a life in which nobody knows what is happening beneath the surface. The person may maintain conversations, attend gatherings, communicate regularly, and still feel emotionally invisible. Loneliness can also emerge when relationships become transactional or superficial. Being constantly surrounded by interaction does not guarantee intimacy. A person can receive messages all day and still feel that nobody genuinely understands them. Sometimes loneliness develops after a major transition, when an old identity or community disappears and a new sense of belonging has not yet formed. The individual may continue functioning normally while privately grieving a connection that no longer exists. Loneliness, therefore, often represents the distance between the connection a person needs and the connection they actually experience. The deeper psychology of loneliness involves the conflict between the desire for connection and the fear of vulnerability. Lonely person may desperately want to be understood while simultaneously believing that revealing their authentic self will lead to rejection. This creates a painful cycle. The person hides to avoid being hurt. Others experience emotional distance. Genuine intimacy becomes difficult, and the resulting disconnection reinforces the belief that nobody can truly understand them. Loneliness can also distort perception. When someone has been isolated for a long time, they may begin interpreting neutral situations as evidence that they are unwanted or unimportant. A delayed response can feel like rejection. Someone being busy can feel like abandonment. A disagreement can feel like proof that the relationship is unsafe. The mind becomes increasingly sensitive to signs of exclusion. Breaking this pattern requires more than simply being around people. It requires meaningful connection and gradual emotional openness. This does not mean revealing everything to everyone. Healthy connection develops through trust, reciprocity, boundaries, and repeated experiences of being accepted without having to perform. Sometimes healing begins with one honest conversation, one relationship in which vulnerability feels safe, or one decision to stop pretending that everything is fine. It also requires learning to tolerate solitude without interpreting it as evidence of personal unworthiness. Being alone and being unwanted are not the same thing. The deepest freedom from loneliness comes when a person can remain connected to themselves while building genuine connections with others. You do not need hundreds of relationships to feel understood. You need meaningful relationships in which your inner world has somewhere to exist. Loneliness begins to weaken when emotional walls become selective rather than permanent, when independence no longer means isolation, and when the person allows themselves to be seen without demanding perfection. Sometimes the greatest barrier to connection is not the absence of people, but the belief that the authentic self must remain hidden.